We want to begin this hour by marking a very special day in U.S. history. On June 19th, 1865, that's 155 years ago today, none of us were there, the last group of enslaved people in America were freed. The occasion, though, was bittersweet because it came 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863, which some states were slow to recognize. CBS News special correspondent, that's James Brown, has the story of the day that became known as Juneteenth.
Everyone say Juneteenth.
Juneteenth.
For the last 3 years, Shantea and Michael McIntyre have celebrated Juneteenth with their 4 kids in their mostly white California neighborhood. What is it about Juneteenth that you want people to know?
It's not just a black holiday. It really is a celebration of freedom, and that's what America is about. And so if you celebrate the 4th of July, you absolutely should celebrate Juneteenth as well.
And everyone just dropped all their tools.
The McIntyres invite their neighbors not only to celebrate, but to use it as a teaching moment.
We reached out to the parents, let them know what we wanted to celebrate. All of the parents were okay with that, and they sent the kids down here. A couple of the parents came as well.
I got text messages from the parents and said, thanks for teaching my kid about that cool holiday, and they can't stop talking about Juneteenth.
Juneteenth stands for June 19th, the day in 1865 when Union General Gordon Granger finally arrived in Galveston, Texas, to announce the emancipation of slaves. Texas had kept approximately 250,000 black people enslaved for 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation became law in 1863. And the man who signed it, President Abraham Lincoln, had been assassinated 2 months before Granger arrived.
Can you imagine? So what Juneteenth is, June 19th, is the acknowledgement and, yes, commemoration that there were slaves that lasted 2 more years, and for them, it was a lifetime.
Texas Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee has been pushing to make Juneteenth a national holiday for 2 decades.
The potential of having this national holiday opens a whole world of discussion for America, a whole reckoning with her racism and the systemic racism that permeates the nation.
Where do you sense legislatively we are? Are we poised to see this come across the finish line?
I do. We are just very pleased at the number of co-sponsors and members who are interested in being supportive. In the resolution that we already introduced, we have 204 co-sponsors. It's delayed freedom, but it is the only recognition of the original sin of this nation. So Juneteenth is an ability to tell the story of slavery.
African Americans haven't waited for national recognition to celebrate Juneteenth. Since 1866, parades and barbecues have been a staple of black communities from Houston and San Antonio to Chicago and Little Rock.
They have some really big Juneteenth celebrations, and I would love to go out to one of those because, I mean, there's thousands of people out there.
Back in California, the McIntyres feel their small celebration is one way to bridge the racial divide during this tense moment in our history.
My husband and I, we took our children to a peaceful protest, and I found myself walking with a fist in the air. And there was a movement that when I looked around, it wasn't just black people holding their hands up. And so that's why I feel like there is some momentum around Juneteenth.
James, I have to say first, bravo, love the McIntyres. What a great couple they are. I've known about Juneteenth for years and have occasionally celebrated, gone to some celebrations, but I can't honestly say to you that it's something I consciously celebrated every single year. But it really feels like we're in a moment this time with the death of George Floyd and others. It seems to be giving added importance to Juneteenth this year. Do you think so too?
Oh, absolutely. And sadly, because of a horrific event like that, many people are thinking about it. But the McIntyres are a perfect family example of that as they educate their kids and the ones in the neighborhood. Gail, look, we understand that teaching involves explanation and demonstration, and from that comes a practical application and discussion. And it's so nice to see that the young people are embracing that.
Yes. I think so, too. Many in corporate America are recognizing Juneteenth, including Viacom CBS, the company we work for, but you know, in TV news business, James, we work on holidays. So I'm thinking 9:01, I'm going to take the rest of the day off. But a lot of corporations for the first time this year are paying attention. I also think that's a good thing.
And let me be clear as well, too, Gail. Thank you for your honesty, and that's exactly what I'm doing today as well, too. Again, amplifying on what teaching is all about. And the fact of the matter is, all 7 mountains of influence in society, whether it's arts and entertainment, business, government, media, we ought to all embrace it because, Gail, it is shared history.
It really is. The president has raised a couple of eyebrows. If you looked at the Wall Street Journal, I know you've seen it, where he says that he made Juneteenth famous. Nobody had heard of it before. He mentioned the controversy in Tulsa where he moved his rally. Well, that certainly is not true, but a lot of people are learning about it for the first time.
Well, keep in mind, as Alvin Patrick and I indicated in that piece, Alvin being my producer, since 1866, people of color have been celebrating it, and in a growing number. I would think that it stands on its own.
Well, now that you know, you know. You can't ignore it any longer. James Brown, always good to see you.